Lastly, we have specific immunity, also called adaptive immunity. This one's a little bit trickier. There's a bunch of different types of specific immunity, but they all have the same principle. They focus on a specific type of bacteria or virus or whatever. Specific immunity can be further divided into cell-mediated, which means the immune cells attack other cells infected with a specific pathogen, or humoral or antibody-mediated immunity. So before we go much further into that, let's talk about the two types of lymphocytes that are involved in this response, the T and B lymphocytes. So both are made in the red bone marrow, where they are developed from stem cells. The B lymphocytes will stay in that red bone marrow, and they're just going to keep growing there until they're mature, and then they're ready to float around the body. T lymphocytes are going to migrate up to the thymus, and then they'll stay there until they're called upon or ready to work. So as B lymphocytes mature, they'll become exposed to pathogens, or parts of pathogens in the form of vaccinations or inherited from mom while they're in the womb. The B cell will then take those pathogens, or parts thereof, and turn them into receptor sites on the outside of their cell wall. Each B cell has thousands of different receptor sites, and each site is specific for a different pathogen. T cells, on the other hand, start in the red bone marrow, then travel up to the thymus to mature. These guys are going to hang out in the thymus until they're ready, and then when they do mature, they travel around the bloodstream and waiting for somebody else to tell them to start their immune response. All right, so let's start with the cellular immunity. This is when a cell becomes infected, or a phagocyte or a B cell ingests an antigen, something that's going to trigger the response. The infected cell, and like I said, it could be a macrophage or it could be a B lymphocyte, will call out to the nearest T cell, and then the two of them bind together. This is going to cause the T cell to split into three parts. A cytotoxic T cell, which is then going to start running around and trying to kill the specific antigens. A helper T cell, which starts releasing chemicals to attract neutrophils to bring them to that area. And then finally, a memory T cell. And this helps prepare the body the next time it sees the antigen, so it'll be ready to respond that much quicker. Maybe think of it like this, kind of a funny story. So pretend somebody's been murdered, and there's evidence that a specific biker gang was involved. So the bystanders call the police. The police then send in their specialists on this motorcycle gang to hunt down that particular group and only that group. But they'll also call in some regular cops just to come in and help. Lastly, they'll make a note that this gang has been involved in a murder, so next time they can react even quicker. It's a bit of a silly story, but hopefully it makes this stuff stick. Humoral immunity is similar, though instead of waiting for a cell to be infected, this one occurs when a B cell finds a living pathogen that's not supposed to be in the body, so a live virus. So first thing, the B cell tries to destroy the antigen or the virus by itself, using phagocytosis. Once it's done that, it finds a helper T cell, which not only calls in more neutrophils, but it'll also cause the B cell to replicate into effector B cells, which act kind of like cytotoxic T cells in that they'll hunt down and kill any more pathogens they can find, memory B cells, which act like memory T cells, or plasma cells. The plasma cells release antibodies, which are these little proteins designed to stick to that specific antigen, and once they stick, they attract lymphocytes to come and attack it. So let's kind of play with that funny story again. This time, there's a cop driving around town, and he sees a member of that dangerous biker gang. I'm not really sure why I'm picking on biker gangs today. I think I just watched too much Sons of Anarchy. The cop arrests the gang member, and then he calls for help, through the specialists and the local cops. But he also sends out an alert for anyone wearing the biker gang colors. This causes the rest of the public to be on the lookout, and they catch even more of the criminals.